Welcome to the role of the Business Analyst. My name's Steve and I'll be your guide and tutor through this session, which is designed to give you an insight into what business analysts do, either day to day or when involved in specific projects. So it'll cover some of the tasks involved, some of the skills and knowledge required, and in general give you an idea of what business analysts do. They'll follow a short slide session which will delve into these topics in more detail. So enjoy! Welcome to the role of the business analyst. Let's start with a fairly formal definition of the role, as stated by the International Institute of Business Analysis, a professional organisation for analysts across the world. This starts by defining the analyst as an agent of change. Wherever there's a project, there is likely to be change, so a business analyst is part of that. A disciplined approach. What that means is, on the whole, analysts follow some sort of structure or method in their work when they're introducing or managing change across an organisation. The final part emphasises that the word business might mean a for-profit business, a company with shareholders, for example. But equally, the word business could mean any organisation. It could be government or local government. It could be a non-profit or charity. So the word business does not mean purely commercial businesses, any organisation. This definition is slightly different. It's from the British Computer Society, the UK-based organisation for all IT professionals. This definition emphasises that the analyst has an advisory role. They're not a decision maker, but they support and help business managers in making decisions about projects. Analysts are also involved in investigating and analysing the business, looking at options, looking at improvements, and defining requirements for new business systems. Analysts may also be involved towards the end of a project in the implementation phase of a project, ensuring that it remains in line with business requirements. This definition is one I came up with myself, and it emphasises that the analyst needs a mixture of skills and knowledge to ensure a successful project. When it comes to the job, some analysts have a project role. Indeed, probably the majority of business analysts are involved in projects at any given point in time, usually focused on the delivery of a new system. System meaning a combination of information technology and business processes. But in some cases, the analyst has a more strategic role. They're looking at the business as a whole, looking at scope for improvements, improving business processes, improving the way the business operates as a whole. So it will vary according to the job or the role at a particular time. If you look at ads for business analyst jobs, there are a variety of job titles used, and different organisations do define the role in slightly different ways. So some use the term business analyst or business systems analyst, usually meaning the same thing, usually meaning somebody involved in what I said previously, looking at the business, looking at requirements. The term systems analyst often means the same thing, but may mean an analyst who's more involved in the IT side of things, as well as the business role. An analyst programmer is combining the technical role of systems development with analysis, and that is the route into analysis and the business analyst role for many people. They start in a pure technical role as a developer or programmer and then progress from there. And some use the words requirements engineer, which essentially means the same thing as business analysts, but with a focus on the term requirements. So what do business analysts do? Well, as mentioned before, the precise role will vary, but in general terms, an analyst needs a good understanding of the business. Firstly, business in general and how business operates, and then specifically the business they're working within. What is it trying to achieve? What's its mission statement? What's the business culture? Then, in terms of specific projects, analysts identify and analyze requirements or business requirements and move them forward to produce some sort of requirement specification which will document what a project is going to do and what business change is going to move forward. A project then often moves into the development phase, and then at the back end of a project, the analyst is very often involved in the implementation and testing phase. Part of that phase is technical, implementing hardware and software and so on. But the role of the analyst is crucial here in ensuring that the system continues to meet business requirements, and in particular making sure that user involvement is maintained in implementation, and particularly in testing and acceptance testing. More specifically, when it comes to understanding the business, the analyst might use various business models, often diagramming techniques, to try and model the overall business context, how it fits into the world, and the overall business strategy. Then, in terms of a specific project, they look at identifying requirements, and a couple of examples of techniques. Stakeholder analysis is about identifying the people who need to be involved, the people who will define requirements, whether inside the business or sometimes outside the business. And requirements elicitation, or more simply called fact finding, is about finding out what those stakeholders want. And there's a range of techniques for that, such as interviewing. Once requirements have been captured, they need to be analysed and understood better. And again, there are a range of techniques for that. Business modelling techniques, which are often various forms of diagrams with support from text, help to understand how the business is going to work and how a new system is going to work and fit together. Prioritisation is about supporting decisions about which requirements go forward and which don't, which are important, possibly called must-haves, which are less important, and which may not be carried forward. And then the creative side of the job, proposing solutions, taking a set of requirements and looking at options and looking at possible ways forward. And then producing a requirement specification. Once there's agreements within the business on the desired option for moving forward, producing a detailed specification which will state what a new system is going to do, how it's going to do it. That includes, again, various business models, diagrams that show how the new system will work, and functional descriptions, often largely text-based, which state in detail how individual functions of a new system are going to work. When it comes to the implementation testing phase, in particular, analysts support and facilitate end user involvement. This is where the communication skills of the analysts come in maintaining relationships, explaining to people what their involvement should be and why they need to be involved. And in testing, ensuring that the delivered system does meet the specification and the business requirements as agreed. Finally, post-project, it's good practice to have some form of post-implementation review, and business analysts are often involved in managing or facilitating that and ensuring that the new system has delivered as expected, or if it hasn't, why not, and are there additional requirements that will need to be fed back in the future. Now, here is a fundamental principle that underpins a large part of business analysis. Very simply, the sequence of problem, then solution, in that order. Now, that may seem fairly obvious, but all too often, particularly with IT projects, it can get switched the other way around. Solution and then problem. A new technology comes along and people start looking for reasons to use it, even if there isn't a real business requirement. So a good analyst always starts with the problem and analyzes that. What's the problem? What are we trying to achieve? And then what are the possible options and solutions to take us forward? Technical skills mentioned here don't relate to the technical side of IT. Here we're talking about the technical skills within the business analysis discipline. And again, the skills needed will vary between different jobs, different projects. But here are some examples. Problem analysis, getting to the root of a problem, not taking it at face value. Stakeholder analysis, as mentioned earlier, understanding who the stakeholders are, what their involvement should be in the project. Business process and data modeling are structured diagramming techniques that enable a deeper understanding of how business processes work and how the underlying data should be structured. And event or scenario modeling is about looking at different possible scenarios and matching them against a proposed system and checking it can meet them. Communication is a key part of the job as well. And in fact, one of the reasons I particularly enjoy business analysis is that combination of technical and communication skills. I enjoy problem solving and the technical side of things, but I also enjoy working with people. So this is a key part of the job, as I mentioned. Building relationships with people, facilitating, interviewing and fact-finding, delivering presentations, and sometimes report writing. So, business analysis is about a number of things. It's about the business. It's about a business-driven approach to all projects. It's also about communication and building bridges, sometimes, if needed, between IT and the business. And it's about people, the most interesting part of the job in a way. Building relationships, communicating, getting people involved at all levels. And that's one of the things that makes it such an amazing job. You should now have a better idea of what business analysts do. Feel free to review the session and go through it again if you need to. Please download the resources that have been added for the session and run through those. And when you feel ready, you can move forward and try the short quiz that follows that will test your knowledge. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the questions section of the course, and I will get back to you. Thank you.